There was talk of Drake narrating this documentary. Was it Ye that came to you and said, yo, I want Drake to narrate?
No, it was Drake that seen it. They were sending out teasers to certain people, and Drake got one. And when he seen it, he was like, Kanye, ask Coodie, this is in the text, ask Coodie if I can narrate it, you know, it'd be big. And Kanye was like, the fastest text chain ever. That's what it said. And I'm looking up like, oh shit, I want the text chain with Drake. And I just was like, no, I said, well, that wouldn't be a great idea because of this, and this. And me and Drake was going back and forth about it. Like, man, you know, I just want to be a part. You know, Kanye's my exception. And, you know, we doing this for the dreamers and we doing this. It ain't about me and Kanye. And then Kanye hit Drake main narration.
So what did you say back? Were you like, yo, wait, can we talk about this?
Kanye said he took a screenshot of the conversation and he was like, we're going to let the public decide. They was letting Kanye have it so ugly. I'm like, oh, wow. It was like, man, you love Drake. You dick right. Y'all be, you know, pardon my language, but they were saying all the comments was coming. I'm like, oh, this is hilarious. He wound up erasing that. And then when we did the premiere and Kanye seen the piece, he was like, man, I can't believe Drake thought he could narrate this movie. And Drake thought he could do it in a week. He was like, I'll be done in a week before the movie can air. And I was like,
you knew there was no way that was about to happen,
how much
right?
writing it took to get to that point. But, you know, he's great. Kanye's great. But we great, too.
Welcome, everybody, to a very special episode. And I say very with an underline and a bold. Today we have Coodie and Chike. And you guys are marvelous people. Let me just start there. I've been looking at your work. I've been like immersing myself, and I'm just like, man, obviously everybody knows the Jeen-Yuhs documentary that you guys did, but not a lot of people know the Benji. Might not as many people might know, right?
Yeah.
That's phenomenal, man. The 30 for 30 Benji. I'm like, whoa.
They might know, but they don't know we did it. 30 for 30 is a big brand.
Yeah.
So
it's huge.
But to put the dots together, that the dudes who did the, you know, Through the Wire video did Benji and then moved to Kid from Coney Island and then Jeen-Yuhs, you know, and a couple other docs and a bunch of other stuff in between that.
Erykah Badu comment.
Most Def,
yeah.
But, you know, definitely proud of Benji. That was our first. And
for sure.
Thanks for our guys, Ted Schillinger and Amani Martin, who really, like, you know, worked with us on, you know, learning how to tell documentary, you know, arcs for documentaries and storytelling. So it was amazing.
It's beautiful.
God is good.
Well, you being from Chicago, you were aware of his story, obviously, like, you know, coming up, right?
Oh, yeah, man. We used to try to sneak in the gym to see him play because we was in grammar school. And, you know, you had to be in high school to go to the games. So we used to try to go, but never got in. And, you know, if he came in the neighborhood, everybody would run to go see him. And I never had an opportunity to see him, you know, play live. But, you know, it was like his spirit, you know, when we was doing Benji, his spirit was with us. And it was like the spirit brought us to do it, you know, and how hurt we were when he made his transition, when he got shot and killed. But the thing real quick is that at the moment, because I'm in like 7th grade and he got shot and killed, and it was, you know, the worst thing ever. Everybody was like, that was all of our brothers and we didn't even know.
Yeah.
But yet it was so much peace in Chicago, because Chicago, you couldn't walk places because another gang, you know, if you walk this way, it's a gang that you shouldn't be in that neighborhood that try to get you, or if you walk across the tracks, the white people would be mad and you know, calling you N-words and trying to beat you up. But when Benji died, I was able to walk anywhere I wanted, it felt like. You know what I mean? Because there was a certain type of peace that I think people understood, like, man, it's not that serious, man. We need to really appreciate life. And I think he showed the city that.
Well, you touched on something that I reference a lot on this podcast, which is it generally takes tragedy for us to unite and slow down, right? Like if you remember after 9/11, everybody was like, yo, like everybody's like,
100%,
right? And then COVID at the start, for sure. Everybody's like, yo, what's going on? Before all the mass divisiveness and all that stuff,
for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's kind of sad that, you know, we as humans kind of need some type of tragedy to.
Yeah, I just think we take a lot, as humans, we take a lot of things for granted. You take aspects of life, you get comfortable, you know, and you just forget.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, autopilot.
It reminds us, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Tragedy reminds us.
But what would life be? How good would a movie be without that? You know what I mean? You have to have that.
wouldn't
You know
even
what I'm
have a
saying? It
film.
wouldn't be a good movie. It'd be if everything was, yeah. It's like, okay, you have to have the antagonists and the things that, that you have to overcome. So that's how I look at it.
It's like seasoning for your food, man.
Yeah.
You don't want to have bland food.
Exactly.
You know?
Bland life. Yeah.
Oh, man.
For sure.
All right, so the Jeen-Yuhs doc you did in 3 parts, right?
Yep.
And so I was like, what if I organized this interview in three quick parts we could beat through? So you had the vision, the purpose, and the awakening, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I got some questions about the Jeen-Yuhs documentary. Okay. And then post-documentary, and then the third part, what I'm calling is the beautiful struggle.
Yeah, fire.
Because the struggle is beautiful, man.
Always.
Like where we just came from. You put in 20 plus years putting this thing together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there was some Hollywood executives are like, all right, we need an answer by next Thursday or everything's off. And I'm like, how can you tell somebody to put 21 years to like jam and make this decision in 3 days? Like that's crazy to me. Can you talk us through some of those feelings and stuff maybe that you were feeling? Just expound on it.
I mean, it was just like, I just knew that with me and Chike and the work that we do, it ain't for money first. You know what I mean? We do it because we want to, inspire people or, show people another way or whatever. And we understand that God is doing it all. So when they was coming with those type of numbers first with money, it was some nice numbers they was coming with as well. And they like, by Friday, you have to make this decision. I was like, well, we ain't doing it for the money. So guess what? We'll wait. You know what I mean? We have to wait until we feel like you're the right partner for this project and it's going to treat this project how we know it needs to be treated because we did it. We did it for the dreamers, it wasn't a thing about me, Kanye, or Chike, or whoever. It was all for the dreamers, and I was like, well, we just will wait. And people were like, but they got this amount and they just couldn't bully us. You know what I mean? Nobody could bully us. We a different kind of, partnership.
Were you able to have that kind of strength in resolve before that situation? Because you were doing other deals before the Jeen-Yuhs doc, right? So have you always carried yourself that way? Like we know our worth, we know our value, and we're not going to kind of like.
Yeah, it's pretty much been our MO. That's how our name kind of came about for Creative Control. But because we have before been put in a position where we felt like the integrity of our work got compromised and it was to no other fault. Ultimately, it's to our fault because we let that happen. But, we just realized and learned quickly. You have to learn twice. I say, we were just talking about this the other day. Like, you fooled me once. George Bush once said it one time. He said, you fooled me once. Shame on me. You fooled me twice.
No, he said, you fooled me twice. Well, you fooled me once, you'll never fool me again. He said, you fooled me once, you'll never fool me again. And that's the best thing ever.
Yeah, that's a bar.
That's a bar. Who had that?
Somebody had it. We heard it. We didn't get it from George Bush. We heard it from somebody had it in their rhyme. They had it in their song and they sampled it. But we're firm believers of that. So we decided to put ourselves in a position where we're not going to let other people take the integrity of our work and misconceive it to fit their agenda. You know what I mean?
Man, we got a lot of artists and creatives that tune in. Like, how important is that message to put out there?
Oh,
man. It's everything. As an artist, we do art. That's we're not the type of people that are going to just get up in a podium and galvanize a crowd of 3,000 people with just like our speech, But I do believe we stand for certain things and we use our art and the medium of storytelling for us to get a message out. Yeah. And a lot of our message just deals with empathy. You know what I mean? We try to, we tell stories that are hugely in parts connected to our culture, our upbringing, where we come from, in efforts to educate others that aren't so familiar with that part of the culture, and to celebrate within the culture stories and that we all know and don't get that much light of day. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But for us, it's an effort to have a global conversation so we all can clearly have a better understanding of one another. If we create empathy, then there's more chances that I more love you like a brother. And if I love you like a brother, I don't want to see harm happen to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we need more of that in the world, just
big time.
Across races, across genders, across
I call this connection is magic for a reason. Yeah. You guys got very good with your craft, and another message that it bears repeating for the listeners is like the scrapes and the bruises that it takes to get good at your craft, man. Am I right? Like you have to fall down, you have to mess up, you have to do terrible work. You know what I'm saying? Like if you listen to some of the early Drake stuff, I mean, Drake is a pretty good spitter, I think. And like if you listen to the early Drake, like it's like night and day to me.
Yeah, and Michael Jordan says it often too. You know what I mean? All the losses is why he succeeds. He's all the shots he missed, and you have to add. You won't learn really. Think about it.
The calm seas never made a skilled captain.
Right.
So 100%. That's
a great one. Yeah.
So Coodie, you dropped everything, right, to go follow around an unknown Kanye West, pretty much, right?
Yeah, and, I mean, that's a part of the storytelling. You have to tell a story. I ain't just say I was still doing comedy. I had to make some money, so But in the storytelling of it, I dropped it all, and I haven't went back to doing comedy stand up since then. So
that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
One of my other favorite quotes, which applies here, is "You're considered a fool until you're considered a genius." And so people might have seen like, "Yo, what are you dropping? What are you?"
I promise, everybody used to come to me and say, "Why you?" Because we had Channel Zero, so we was around all this, celebrities, Snoop,
Method Man,
Wu-Tang, you know what I'm saying?
And that was like the golden era of hip hop, right? Like I was in high school. You're talking about Nas, Outkast, like all that stuff, right? Yeah.
And now here I am following this kid, who produced great, an amazing producer, but it seemed like they didn't see what I saw in him. You know what I mean? I'm like, y'all don't see this? Y'all don't see who this dude is? And that was, you're right, because they was definitely calling me a fool. Like, you traveling with him, you moving to New York with, like, huh? I said, watch, he gonna win Grammys. And he did.
Moral of the story is when you feel it, go with it. Like, you gotta go with it,
And don't think about, I think Henry Ford, they said he was building a car in his garage. He bought a car and was in his garage, taking it apart, building it, taking it. They thought he was a fool, and now you got Ford Motor Company. You know what I mean? And I think all these geniuses, and we all geniuses though.
We're all geniuses at something.
Yeah, if you understand your passion and move on it, and your purpose in life, and it might be you're a genius at, fixing. You're a plumber. You know what I'm saying? But you're a genius in that, in your own right for doing that. So
to sort of explore and manifest your full genius, it takes time. You got to fall down, you know what I'm saying? And so just the thing is
you got to work on it.
That's why that motivation is so important. What was interesting about the juxtaposition of the Benji piece to Jeen-Yuhs was in the 30 for 30 Benji piece, we didn't get to see the full manifestation, I feel like, of what Benji could have been, which was like some of the most heartbreaking part of that, right?
Yeah.
And with Ye, we saw the full expression, right? I was always watching this again, prepping. I was like, man, it's like I'm seeing a flower just like blossom. And I go to your site, and on the merch site, it's the Jeen-Yuhs shirts have a flower on the back of it. I'm like, yo, what is going on right now?
Man.
Yeah.
God, I'll be saying God is just having fun and just, when he do all that, he just like playing with us and letting us know that he's real. And I love that. You know what I mean?
I feel that. There was the part where, Kanye started to get a little bit of success, and Jesus Walks, right? Video came. And as he got the success, he's like, all right, I'm going to try and go for Hype Williams now, who was like the #1, maybe music video guy at the time. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, for sure.
What did that feel like? Like I know a little bit was touched on, but I got you in the room with me, so.
I mean, disappointing, like, man, you got us right here. That Chike always say he was happy to see that footage.
Yeah, because like when first time I saw it was when we were in the edit. And so I never knew that like Coodie stood up for us in that moment in the way he did. You know what I'm saying?
That's the first time I seen it too in that edit.
Really? Okay.
Which is wild because it's like,
came out of nowhere.
God putting this stuff together for us, and it's like, just when you need something, he gives you the best footage that you could possibly use. But just the fact that Coodie had called that, but the fact that Coodie was like believed so strongly in how talented we were together, I thought was dope, and that he would articulate that at a time when he could have just been like, nah, yeah, it's cool. Like, he's like, I mean, nah, we them dudes. You know what I'm saying? So
I love that.
And Hype, Slate. I mean, Hype was one of the reasons why, I definitely got into music videos. So he's one of the OGs that I looked up to, you know what I'm saying, his work. But I definitely felt we were carving out our own style, and we always thought like with Ye at the time, it'd be like kind of like how Brian Barber was with Outkast. Like there was definitely visions of us, like it takes an army, like, and we had creating a movement, and we're gonna come into this thing together with the same agenda of plowing through this harsh industry together. And so it was disappointing in that regard because that vision kind of got shattered. You know what I mean?
For sure. And that creative chemistry, I think, is a rare thing. Would you agree? Like I reference like Missy and Timberland sometimes. They obviously had an amazing chemistry together. And sometimes there's these different individuals that'll come together to just have that special chemistry, which you need to be respectful of, right?
Yeah,
I think,
exactly.
So.
But everybody had their dreams, and no excuse for Kanye, but I know he had a dream of working with Hype Williams. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just any artist, and like Hype was one of the biggest, like you said. So, and Kanye, when he wants something, he
we all know that.
Started manifesting it. So so he manifested Hype Williams, but he should not. I ain't gonna say what he should have did, because he didn't even use Hype for them 2 videos that he did. He used 2 other great directors.
Oh, interesting.
But he didn't like what they did, and he spent like over 1.something million on both of them videos. And then he called me and Chike on a Friday morning. We coming out the club, saying he wasn't feeling the bill. Let's do the treatment, because I wrote the treatment before Through the Wire. While we was out, we was writing, and he was like, man, I want Dave Chappelle to play Jesus, and we started writing it. And he was like, man, let's do the one that you wrote. And I'm like, bet. And he was like, I said, when you want to do it? It's Friday morning. He was like, I want to do it on Sunday. I'm like, Sunday? And one thing, like I always say, one thing about Kanye, like you say you can't do something, he would, you can't. So he go off when you say you can't do. So I knew not to say we can't do it, or I knew to say, I just said, all right, well, we got to shoot in Chicago. And he was like, bet. And so he ain't called us back till late that night, Friday, after Chike didn't start calling for film and all that. We calling around, making all this stuff happen. Yeah. And B&H closed, so we had to call LA. You
guys scrambled to make this happen.
He hit us back with the credit card. We scrambled. Yeah. Next thing you know, we in Chicago on Saturday, location scouting, doing everything we had to do. Wow. And we shot on Sunday, and New York Times said I was the best. And Dame Dash said I was the best out of the 3. And we had no money. Didn't get paid, nothing.
Nope.
We just did.
No payment for none of that.
No, well, we luckily we had to buy the camera, the 16 millimeter camera, which we owned after, but then we sold that, so we got a little something. But
that's a wild story. So I'm gonna pivot to this other point. After you made all that sacrifice, did all that, later in the documentary, there was this point where he was calling you Chike.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And that was uncomfortable for me to watch, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. The thing with that is everybody called me Chike. That's nothing. The other day, everybody was like, hey, Chike. I'm like, hey, I'm Coodie, but
vice versa. I really didn't even remember that until we started. I mean, I remembered it, but I don't remember feeling a way in that moment. You know what I'm saying?
But watching it, you felt something,
I felt
right?
Something for sure. And the way we cut it, but in that moment, I don't remember, because that party was so live, and we were all a little intoxicated, probably. So I feel like a lot intoxicated.
Hey, they say truth serum, though, man. Come on.
Right, I definitely think there was more to that scene than to brush it off, in a sense of like, he knew what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? And I think Coodie handled it very well. Because he could have handled it another way. Yeah.
But then he made up for it too by just saying what he said at the end. That one moment he said, like, man, he did this, that, I wouldn't be here without him. So he made up for all of the calling me Chike. But then when you in hindsight, it was put it like this: nobody seen that part before. We showed him giving me love. We never showed the other part. Like, we put that on Channel Zero. Danny from Channel Zero would put it out. And I used to be like, don't show the other part dissing me, because you wouldn't be embarrassed by that.
It's like to put out like some disrespect, right?
Yeah.
You got to be vulnerable to do that.
For sure.
But what I love is you guys kind of like stay congruent through the whole thing, because we see Kanye's retainers kind of coming out at all times, which that's pretty vulnerable, man. I mean, I can't rap this. Let me take my retainers out.
Yeah.
And not saying that he would have wanted that in the doc if he had any control over it. He probably been like, take them retainer things out. You know what I'm saying? But I always knew because I'm a comedian, that was going to be a running bit throughout the whole doc. I knew that that's why I was filming. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a running bit.
Yeah,
and it
so
was.
Interesting.
It worked.
There's another moment that happened on this podcast. You guys familiar with Murda Beats, right? There's a big hip hop producer named Murda Beats. There's a lot of Migos and Drake stuff. And anyways,
okay.
Yeah, he's might have a couple Grammys. He's done a lot.
Nice.
And I had his manager on, and I put together this little like really cool. I do some animated clips sometimes when there's like a powerful story in here, right? So I made a really powerful animated clip about how, you know, he was having such a hard time getting this guy work and placements and all that. And I showed it to him, the manager, and the manager's like, yo, this is fire, but he's going to hate it because it shows a side to him pre-success.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo,
the thing about
crazy.
It, especially in filmmaking and docs, which everybody feels like they have a story and they want their story to be told and they want it told a certain way. But again, I don't know if they're ready to be as vulnerable as you need to be, because in and especially in stories in general, but in docs, the more vulnerable you can be, the stronger your story will be, the more successful it will be, because the lessons are learned there and you overcoming whatever obstacles. So like if you can take us to the depths, darkest, most embarrassing or hardest moments of your life, but you persevere through that, like that's the lesson. That's what we need. We don't need to see the highlight reel.
Shout out B-Rabbit.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
It's like, and most people aren't willing to take it there.
Nah. Kanye said it at the premiere when he came to the premiere, the Netflix premiere for one, and he watched it. He was like, man, I would have been embarrassed.
Oh.
You know, then that's why we probably wasn't doing it. Like in 2006, they wanted us to do it. And he was like, he ain't ready for the world to see that side of him, but he was like he said, he would have been embarrassed for people to see that.
Yeah.
You know, but that's, you know, that's
but
what
at the end of the day, people love
to
that
see.
though, like you said. That's what draws people in.
Yeah, because everybody's going through that. Everybody in life is going through that, went through that, and had to overcome it. So now you're like, oh, and there's so many people that's probably at that moment going through something, and they like, right, I can overcome this. If I just keep believing, I'm gonna make it. And that's what I started
this podcast literally for that reason, to dive into these moments, man. Seriously, because like that, man, it's just when you're going through it, like to what you were just saying, I want to know that I'm not alone. Right. Primarily. You know what I mean? I want to know that there's going to be some beauty to the other side of this, hopefully.
Yeah. And there's a freedom. You know? People understand there's so much of a freedom in articulating out loud things that are bothering you or things that are like, because then there's nothing that can really like, you know, if you're 100% honest with somebody about whatever you feel like might be your shortcomings or whatever, nobody can really attack you for those things. You can't really be embarrassed about anything because you've just been open about it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
And then you really know people really accept you for you. You're not hiding. You're not trying to be a different type of person for the sake of just trying to, like, you know, everybody around you. They really mess with you, you know what I'm saying? Because you've been completely transparent with them about who you are as an individual.
100%, man. That was well said. You just triggered a thought too. If we look about the artists with the most staying power in music are the ones that have gone the most vulnerable, I feel like. Am I right?
100%.
No shade to Psy with the Gangnam Style, you know. But like that was like here and gone pretty quickly, you know. We got a lot of examples of the here and gone. It's like, because you're just keeping on the surface. Like we can't, there's nothing for us to hook into if you're just going to stay on the surface. The next one here. So other thing is, people can get boxed in for doing one thing. I mean, I felt a lot of the angst that Ye had about just not being taken seriously as a fashion guy, like that lingered for a while, right? Like you ain't got the answer, Sway. Like that whole thing was, and I'm like, there was a moment in this doc that was pretty cool to me where it was the A&R from Rockefeller who's like, yo, this is Kanye. He's an amazing producer rapper. I mean, like, that's like calling me a female MC or a kid rapper.
I think it's just our society likes to put people in boxes, likes to marginalize. Like even for us, like we don't want to be considered just like Black filmmakers. We're filmmakers. Like our work don't separate us and be like, oh, or even artists. Like we're doing this doc on Ernie Barns right now, and he always wanted to be considered just one of the best, you know, American artists. Like he didn't want to just go down as like, you know, one of the best Black artists, because now you marginalize them, and now you're not even putting them in the category of like, nah, I'm just like a dope artist, you know, who happens to be Black. You know what I'm saying?
Perfectly said.
That's real.
Yeah. Yeah, he got signed to the Rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he was kind of stuck there for a little bit, languishing maybe a little bit. And then the accident happened, right? And then he kind of used that as fuel, didn't he? Like Through the Wire came out of that, right?
Yeah.
But prior to Through the Wire, he was kind of just languishing a little bit on Rockefeller, right? They weren't opening up budgets, things like this, right?
Yeah, well, it was they just pretty much signed, and they were and he did the song with Jay-Z.
Yeah.
And then he did the Champion song.
Mm-hmm.
Then he had the accident.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It was almost like he said on the interview that he signed Kanye and thought he was going to do a compilation album with different artists with his beats. That's what they really wanted. You know what I mean?
After the Die came out, I had talked to him on the phone. He was like, it really was after they signed him, as far as the budget opening, because they're getting their money still from Def Jam.
Yeah.
So he was saying Def Jam wanted to push Chris and Neef. They weren't trying to push Kanye, but Kanye's whole goal was to be signed by Def Jam, was to be a part of Def Jam. And so he didn't want to be the one to crush Kanye's spirits and be like, yeah, but they're not trying to push you. So he said he took that on the chin in a sense of like, I'll just take it as if like Rockefeller's not trying to push it, but he said it was really just they weren't really opening up the budget for them to open up his budget.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, I don't know. But
okay, yeah, we believe you.
Man, shots fired.
Nah, play.
The accident lit a fire, and he kind of fed off of that because that record was the one that kind of broke him through a bit, right? The Through the Wire.
For sure.
Yeah, that was God that did all that, man. God saved his life, and he understood that. And then he came up with Through the Wire. You got to realize Jesus Walks was a single. And, first they didn't understand that, couldn't figure that out. Like, who gonna want to hear Jesus' name on radio? I don't get it, because that's who I roll with. Jesus is everything to me. Saved me through the streets of Chicago to, blessing us with everything we got. So, and Kanye was, that was his song. And when he got saved, that was Jesus that saved him and then gave him that Through the Wire and put all this stuff together. So we right now on your podcast talking about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
it's crazy to think about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Remember when 50 Cent got shot 9 times?
Yeah.
And his life was almost taken. And then kind of just like ascended after that, you know? So sometimes like these major adversities, man, can just be jet fuel, on like what we're here to do.
But don't go out and have no car accident and try to get shot. Don't do that.
Yo, the label's not releasing my single. I'm going to crash my car right now.
I can have an accident, then I can do. No, it's just what you just got to take and understand the silver lining and everything.
When Kanye left Chicago to move to New York, you didn't have funds to follow him to New York. And I think you said you were carjacked at point blank range. Yeah. So he put a gun to you.
Yeah.
And you did an insurance claim for what was stolen. Am I right? Some stuff was stolen and you got some type of insurance check, and that allowed you to move to New York.
Yeah.
How insane is that?
I was married at the time too, and it wasn't that I didn't have extra money. You know what I'm saying? I just bought a condo. I'm doing comedy. I'm making money doing comedy.
Okay.
Just bought a condo, had a car, which got carjacked. But when that happened, the insurance from my my homeowner's insurance took care of everything that was in the car. They gave me a lump sum of money, and then I took that. I'm like, I got to move to New York with that, and that was the blessing that came within that. Other than that, I would have just been in Chicago doing comedy, doing Channel Zero in my condo with my car. You know what I mean?
That was your Kanye car accident moment, is what I'm saying. Almost.
Really.
It really was.
Yeah. It was a what is the catalyst moment?
Yeah.
And it gets even crazier than that. To take that story a layer deeper, I think on your cameras that got stolen, I think you had you were gonna do some Michael Jordan thing, right?
So his nephew told me, Tracy, I know is like Juanita's nieces and nephews. I know them good, and his nephew told me that Mike's coming back to the NBA, and he did come back to the West. So I'm like, for real? I said, and I guess the Hoop Dreams inspired me so much that I was like, let me follow Michael Jordan, and see what he'd do. And so I went to Miami, and we had, because of Channel Zero and the Source magazine, the Source actually gave us our camera that we had. They got carjacked.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and we had the Source mic, so we went to Miami, and so I'm like getting in all the parties just with the mic. Hey, they like, oh, come on. So me and Dion Cole, the comedian that's on Blackish, me, Dion, all of us, we was just going
finessed your way in there with the Source mic.
With the Source mic. To the point, Dion, it's funny because when I got carjacked, and I told Dion, I said, man, I got carjacked, man. He had the gun in my head. And they stole the camera and all the footage from Miami. Dion was like, all the footage? He ain't even say nothing about much carjacking. I said, they hit me in the head and bust my head and blood was coming out. He like, so you got all the footage. I was like, oh, this dude. But it was so fun. It was the best for, like, I interviewed Magic Johnson talking about Michael Jordan.
You had all that on tape.
It was me, D.I. was on the stage. It's Jermaine Dupri on the mic, Biz Markie DJing, and then all of a sudden Jay-Z walks up and starts freestyling. I'm right there with the camera.
Lost
they took all that footage. So anybody that know the carjacker that carjacked me, can y'all see if it's a mini DV somewhere, right?
But at the time, I just want to say one last thing. At the time, you were sad about this, right? You were probably feeling some type of way. You're probably, oh man, like, because now obviously it's an amazing thing. But when you were going through it, you were probably feeling like, man, what am I gonna do now? Did you have that moment and that sort of stress on you?
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't recall. I just remember I had to get all these receipts together. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
So I can get my insurance money, and then I moved. But of course, I'm like, dang, that footage. I wasn't as upset as Dion, but I'm like, that footage, man. I wish, I just knew. It's almost like I knew that wasn't happening, and that I'm gonna go to New York and see what's up with Kanye, and just move to New York, period. Because when I would go out there, like with Source meetings or whatever, the weekend I'm out there, so much would happen. I'm like, what if I just lived out here? And then we had things we were doing, like me and John Monopoly, we was doing this thing called The Life, and we put this whole thing together. We actually went and shot with Cash Money, and they was doing Get Your Roll On, but then we had different segments that we were doing. So we had Lil Wayne introducing the cars. We put this all together. We had like Jermaine Dupri, go to Jermaine Dupri, and we had like him doing the ice stuff, and we put all this stuff together because it was called The Life. And next thing I know, MTV Cribs happened. And we actually went to them and was interviewing them at one of the events, and we tell them my idea and all, MTV Cribs, and I was like, man, I got to get close to the people that make these type of decisions. And so all of that was a reason why I moved to New York. It wasn't just Ye, but Ye was definitely, one of them that I'm like, that perfect. I could just film him, see what he gonna do.
Both of you have this where it's like the trust God period. I've heard you say that.
I mean, I feel like we've been moving like that before we even knew or were too aware that we were moving like that. You know what I mean? I feel like it's funny because I had a dream one time, not that long ago, where I felt like he let me feel what it would feel like to not be covered by his protection. And it was the craziest feeling I ever felt that I would never wish for anybody to feel. He let me feel, okay, so now I'm going to let you just feel what it feels like, just so you know I am protecting you. And it just made me appreciate, like, there's another reality that you can be experienced without that protection. And I don't want to go through life like that.
Absolutely. Coodie, you were having a birthday party and you got a text from Kanye saying he wanted final approval or something like that. And you're like, you got all this, like, this special moment, right? My family's here. I'm feeling great. Oh my God, I'm about to faint.
Yeah, no, that was it. I mean, my birthday, we had, drinking, kicking, and having a ball. And that text came through from the president at the time and hit me. I'm like, and when I seen it, that split second of doubt. Cause I'm like, what? And the movie about to come out like that Friday, up this a few days, really. Yeah. And I'm like, what? So that means things would have just shifted, whatever. And at the same time, here's the birthday cake. And I'm looking up at the birthday cake coming towards me, and I'm like, wait a minute. And then it was like, and God talked to me so clear. It don't even definitely ever since meditation, ever since I started meditating.
Yeah,
he's like, it's like he almost smacked me like, dude, you don't see all these people in front of you. Kanye not in front of you. The situation is not in front of you. These people that love you is in front of you, and it's your birthday. I got you through every other thing that you ever worried about. Then guess what? I'm gonna get you to this. And then that's when I said, right, trust you. I gotta trust you, God. I gotta just say, trust God. And I did. And we here. We here now. You know what I mean?
Trust God, period.
Man, yeah, man.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So real.
Both that, like the right hook and a boom right there. Both of those boys, man. And then the other moment that was like, whoa, was there was talk of Drake narrating this documentary. Was it Ye that came to you and said, yo, I want Drake to narrate?
It was Drake that seen it, because they were sending out teasers to certain people, and Drake got one. And when he seen it, he was like, Kanye, ask Coodie, this is in the text, ask Coodie if I can narrate it, it'd be big. And Kanye was like, the fastest text chain ever. That's what it said. And I'm looking up like, oh shit, I want the text chain with Drake. And I just was like, no, I said, well, that wouldn't be a great idea because of this, and this. And me and Drake was going back and forth about it. Like, man, I just want to be a part. Kanye is my exception. And, he was saying all of this. And I'm like, yeah. And then Kanye was like, the only thing Kanye would say, Drake, doing main narration. That's it. That's all he would say. Drake is doing main narration.
On a text.
Right. He would read all these, and because of, we're doing this for the dreamers, and we doing this, it ain't about me and Kanye. And then Kanye hit Drake, main narration. Like,
so what did you say back? Were you like, yo, wait, can we talk about this?
Kanye said he took a screenshot of the conversation, and he was like, we're going to let the public decide. Oh, and they was letting Kanye have it so ugly. I'm like, oh, wow. Like, it was like, man, you love Drake. You dick right. Pardon my language, but they were saying all the comments was coming. I'm like, oh, this is hilarious. And he wound up erasing that. And then when we did the premiere and Kanye seen the piece, he was like, man, I can't believe Drake thought he could narrate this movie. And Drake thought he could do it in a week. He was like, I'll be done in a week. Before the movie can air, I'll be done. And I'm like,
you knew there's no way that was about to happen.
How much writing it took to get to that point. But, he's great. Kanye's great. But we great too.
That's beautiful. I want to go to Chike real quick, because Chike, you said sometimes when you like everybody's worried about the best gear, the best equipment, and you were saying something like sometimes when something's raw and you're not using all the fancy tech, it could capture something even more special. Yeah. And I know the third part was all iPhone of the documentary, correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So speak on that.
I mean, it's just like story's powerful, and that was more for like a lot of aspiring filmmakers, because a lot of times you get caught up thinking about this project that you want to do, and then you amplify it in your mind so big to where you make it something that you can't even achieve, because you put yourself in a space where you don't even have the resources to achieve the thing, because you just made it too big all of a sudden.
Yeah,
and not completely simplifying it and just getting back to the soul of what it is you're trying to create, which is the story. Mm-hmm. Everybody can connect to a strong story, and I always say, like, you could draw it out with crayons. If the story's strong, it's going to resonate. People forget that that's even the medium that you're using, and so you can't get caught up in thinking that, like, oh, if I have all these bells and whistles, it's going to make it better. It'll amplify if you have a strong story.
Yeah,
it'll amplify that. Yeah, but like, if your story's not strong, it's it doesn't even matter. It'll tank. You know what I mean?
And sometimes you could be like, oh, that's like a cushy bet over there. I'm gonna rely on this big budget.
Your cushy bet is the core, is the story.
You
know what I'm saying? Yeah.
It's all about the story.
The line about Donda, Kanye's mom saying a giant looks in the mirror and sees nothing. Mm-hmm. I got chills as I'm saying this to you right now, because I can't believe I'm sitting here with you, because when I watched this, man, I was like, man, that gave me chills.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it did that same thing for both of you, right?
Yeah,
that line.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Can you talk about what that line means to you?
It's amazing how the line even came about, because I put together Donda's Mama West, we call her funeral piece, right after she passed. And I'm going through all of the footage that I had with her and what I can find. And that was definitely one of the tapes that I used to put it together. So we did it, and it went to the funeral, and it was, the hardest job ever that I had to do. Every rough cut, I'm balling out, then have to come back and move this, change that, then watch the cut, and I'm pretty sure the same feeling that everybody got watching it at a funeral.
Yeah.
And then years later, right when Kanye was, the red hat and all that stuff was going on, and they wanted to license some footage from me. I think it might have been Netflix, the song that shocked the world. My boy 19 and Eric did. And I'm going through the footage, and I seen the tape. I was like, Don, let me put this in. As soon as I put the tape in, she was like, Kanye, I have something important I want to talk to you about. And I'm like, I don't remember what she got to say. And then she went on until the giant looks in the mirror and sees nothing. I was like, right? And then when I seen it, I was like, oh. And then I kind of like went finishing because I knew I had a deadline to get this stuff. So I'm going around, and it seemed like the tape rewinded itself.
Wow.
When I went back, because it was like, it was right there, right at the moment again. I'm like, whoa. So I uploaded it, and then and this one I had Kanye's email. So I like emailed him and said, and the first thing that came to mind for my subject was, your mother wanted me to send this to you. That's the first thing I did. I said that, sent it to him, and it took him a minute to figure out how to get it. And then he finally got it. He FaceTimed me, and he was like, dude, not in a million years I thought that I remember her saying that. And I was like, me neither. You know what I mean? I did not remember that as well. And then later I thought about it. I said, what if she didn't say it then? What if she said it now? You know what I mean? So it was like her spirit, and her spirit was always with us throughout the whole project. It was just, we say that with Benji. We say that with Martin Luther King. We did his doc, and it's like, we don't die, man. Our spirits live forever. And Ernie Barns for sure. I know we ain't talked about Ernie Barns, but that's the next doc that we're doing, and the energy around that and his spirit is so present.
Pharrell's group Nerd, right? It stands for No One Ever Really Dies.
Yeah. That's real. It's happening. Yeah, it's real.
So I'm riding that same way with you guys.
I never knew that either. That meant that.
I didn't know it was just the music or whatever.
Yeah. I just want to add to the thought of what you said about the feeling of what she said, and I feel like that was the biggest lesson in humility that you could possibly teach someone in such a simple few words, because it's like on a journey that he was embarking, when you get so good at your craft and it puts you in a limelight of fame and money and all these things, and you start, to me, that was a lesson in isolation. You start isolating yourself from others. The giant becomes so tall that he only sees himself. He's alone. You know what I mean? Everybody else sees a giant, but you don't see as a giant. You don't see anybody else. You just see yourself because you're a face in the sky above the clouds by yourself. But that's a choice that you make to be by yourself, because the giant can always reach back down to the ground and be amongst everybody else. So you're either going to choose to be in isolation or you're not. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's the lack of humility that keeps you wanting to be alone, because you feel like you're better than everybody else or you're unrelatable. That's the reason for not being around and humbling yourself enough to still be amongst the people, because you're still the people. You know what I'm saying? You're still a person. You're not any better. You know what I mean? Everybody's a giant in their own regards.
Yeah.
Sometimes you said you got to become the character, right? Like, Kanye didn't want to be filmed for a little bit because like, no, I'm going to sort of take this character on now or whatever. I don't want them to see that side of me. So you guys know Burna Boy, right? So I had on the guy that signed Burna Boy. This is what he said.
Music industry
you
analogy.
get into that Madonna, like Madonna ain't gonna undo Madonna. Like whoever she was when she was born is gone. You know what I'm saying? Like she had to fly into the sun, and like you can't look back. You sacrifice so much in that. It's a sacrifice. When you get to that heat, you either gonna be like, fuck that, I'm going, I'm gonna go back to what I'm comfortable to, or you're just gonna fly through that heat and let it burn off your skin and come out the other side.
Become a new you.
You become out, made out of gold. Or even disintegrated or whatever. Most of the time it burns people out.
Most of the time it burns people out. Damn. Wow.
It's not easy. Like, look at Michael Jackson. Or you can DMX. I almost look at Kanye.
Wow.
And then I said Kanye.
Yeah, for sure.
Just as an outsider looking in, there was a really kind of the line in the sand moment for me when Kanye released Easy. Right? We know that song, Easy. My life was never easy, right? That one.
Mm-hmm.
And in there, he's like, want to let God in, but tonight, I guess I'll let my pride win. I looked up the release dates and I was like, man, there's like 4 weeks or something apart from the release of Jeen-Yuhs to that. And something felt like he just was going to like a darker place. You know what I mean? Like he was kind of leaving God.
Yeah.
So I feel like the question on a lot of people's minds, certainly on my mind, is like, this masterpiece was supposed to like cement the legacy to me. And it does in a lot of ways still, but then this like 11.0 earthquake happened, right? You know, after and everything. So I want to know, like, what are the guys that put this masterpiece together? How are y'all feeling about just the timing of it? You said you didn't know there might be some mental health struggles there for Kanye, right? You said you thought it was just part of the show.
Yeah.
There was a moment in the documentary where he was talking about being tied to 4 horses or something like that, and then boom, and then like all of his limbs are pulled apart is what it felt like. And you said that was the moment for the first time you stopped filming, where you said, I've never seen this side, I'm gonna stop filming. And I feel like the general public kind of just jumped in on a man that needed help. That's the way I looked at it. You know, like the Drink Champs interview. Like it seemed like egging him on, like egging on a man that like needed help. Is what it felt like to me.
Well, I think, you know, when you're doing docs, sometimes a lot of times they don't just button up as nice as you would expect to, or sometimes that's not even the intention. And we played with different endings. And we had one that did button up kind of nice because it stayed at a place where like Sunday service, where we were going to kind of end it all at like a Sunday service. And it kind of comes out where, you know, Kanye's in a space where he like found God, you know, and he's gonna live here. But with Kanye, obviously, you know, you never know where he's gonna live. So it's never gonna be, his life is constantly, he's like an organism, it's just gonna keep on moving and changing, and you never really know it. And so, you know, but even before we got to that part, you know, there was a part where we unified around the fact that our film wasn't about Kanye. You know, that film was really about Kanye's journey, Coodie's journey, their journey together, achieve a goal. And it was very important that they had a strong faith in God to help them overcome the obstacles that they were going to have to come. So when Coodie says we did it for the dreamers, it was for all these people that we felt like might have trouble finding their passion. So it's like to understand that everybody's a genius. You have a genius inside you. Your genius is your passion. You know, in order to follow that and believe in that, we believe that you need a strong faith in God to help you muster up the energy to move on something that you're moving in faith at the end of the day, because your society's not built around you following your purpose and passion. You know what I'm saying? Because if everybody did that, then probably nobody would be working at companies for other people and whatnot, the things that you have to do in order to fulfill that type of goal. And so people are more reluctant to do that. And so we want to create a blueprint that could help people get like inspired to be able to move in their passion, but know that it's going to take all this amount of hard work. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't about Coodie's personal thoughts and how he's going to feel. It was just about them achieving this goal and what it took to achieve that. Not so much about what Coodie's going to say next or what Kanye's going to say next after this thing is achieved. It's in a very specific moment of their lives and focusing on the journey that they went through.
And the doc really was supposed to end with him winning a Grammy.
When he first set out, to do it.
When that was he going to win a Grammy, gold, Grammy, yay. But then, of course, life keeps going, you know what I mean? And then, like he said, Sunday service was another way to do it. When we got to that point, this is a perfect ending, yes! And life continues to go. When I went out to DR, was to show him the sizzle. You know, I'm like, I got to show him the sizzle, and the way God put that together. And the reason why I turned the camera off, first I knew the two guys. I knew Dave Barry that was with him. Mike Novacraz I just met, and it was a blessing from God when Dave walked in the house. It was so tripped out, the way that people was treating me and things like that. But when Dave walked in, then it was like, oh, you know him, guy. In Kanye, I knew Dave Barry. He was like, you all know each other. Dave was like, man, I've been to the premiere of Kid from Coney Island, blah blah blah. He was like, look at God. That's what Kanye said, and that's after I showed him the sizzle. Because he was so excited about the sizzle when, you know, he wanted to put it out the next day. We got to put this out tomorrow. And I'm like, no, we got to do it like this. So we did it the way we did it. But the energy that he was giving, I wasn't like saying like, I just was like, I want to pay close attention. And I feel like since I have my camera, I never experienced that with Kanye on my camera. You know, I'm like, let me just pay close attention to what's going on and what's happening. So I
you
turned
seem
the camera
concerned
off.
a little bit, right?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I care about him. You know what I'm saying? That's my brother.
That's
no matter
friend
what.
And brother, yeah.
You know, no matter what. He called me Chike. He do whatever. That's still my brother. You know what I mean? And when you was talking about the words, see, the thing people have to understand is words are powerful. Manifestation is real. You can manifest. Like rappers will rap about, you know, my Benz and they don't even have a Benz, and next thing you know they have a Benz. You know what I'm saying? And so it manifests. And Kanye do it so easy. You know, so easy. And that line that you read, and the line that really hurts me when he said, "I told God I'll be back in a second." Man, it's so hard not to act reckless. That you can't say that. You know what I'm saying? Like Jesus gave you this, gave you what you thought you wanted. He gave it to you. Jesus Walks was the #1 record on radio. You know what I mean? And then to say that, and then to see after that moment all the things start spiraling down, but you would think up. You know what I'm saying? And this is a lesson to the world, really, man. Just pay close attention on your words. They're powerful. Even like music, that's the music that we listen to, and you know they talking about guns in a car and killing this, and you singing it, and you know you manifesting so much negativity that it don't even make sense. You know, and I don't know why it's like that in our society, but if we just say the best stuff and the positive things, and that what happened. You say what you want, you're gonna get it, no matter what. You say it, you're gonna get it. If you can conceive and believe, you can achieve. That's real. And like I say, people be speaking themselves to, you know.
Oh man. Do you guys know Mac Miller?
Yeah.
Mac Miller was talking about death in every record.
Dude,
you know what I'm saying? He's
Tupac,
like, it's crazy.
You name it. They was talking the way, and so, you know, I just end with that, but it's so real. So watch what you say. Watch what you say.
No purposeful errors, if I'm not mistaken, was the line from that, right? Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
But it's just hard. You know, it's hard. I mean, as somebody, I mean, he shaped, it's crazy. You know, his music shaped my life, man. I remember I was just starting college, if you can imagine. Like, that's a perfect time, like, and Kanye came out and all that. And I'm just like, you know, it just hurts. It hurts to see just another human, man, who kind of like helped shape your life and helped give you so much. I feel like go through the struggle like that, you know?
And God don't give up on none of us. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I don't be like even worried about certain things, definitely when it come to him, because I'm like, God gonna get him through. He did it too many times before. You know what I'm saying? And the next time he does it, I feel like it's gonna be something special.
You guys are like light energy. I just want to say that.
Thank you.
And I feel like he needs some of that around him. I mean, have you guys tried to reach out and just be a positive, positive influence?
You try, but you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It can go like this, right?
It's a roller coaster. I just like, you know, I'm afloat. We move on a flow. It's a flow of life. You know, we just going with it. We riding the roller. We got on a roller coaster. We riding it, and we gonna have fun, and we gonna be scared sometimes, and we gonna be like, yeah, but it's fun. It's all fun when you really think about it. It's life.
Yeah, but you got to protect your light. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to know when to go in the darkness and when not to, because, you know what I'm saying?
That's a bar, man.
So it's like, you can go jump in the water to go try to save somebody, and you'll end up drowning.
They'll take you down with them. Yeah,
exactly.
No, that's real. That's real. And and it's like you think somebody's hit rock bottom, and then they get the shovel out and like keep digging. Like, I mean, I went through some addiction myself, and I've been around people that are addicted, and it's like, the only thing that works sometimes, man, is rock bottom.
Yeah,
to be real with you.
And no work, nothing you can say to that person. There's just really nothing that you can do. They have to want to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's true. I'm sure prayers, you know what I mean? At least I'm
that's
sure
probably the best thing you can do. That's the best thing you can do. You know
prayer.
what I'm saying?
But the way the media, there's a saying in media, if it bleeds, it leads. Have you guys heard that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so they want that. They want that.
But there's also
shit.
another one,
Really,
Ernie and the late great Ernie Barns. I mean, the late great first to do it, Earl Lloyd told us you can't get framed if you're not in the picture.
Wait, give me that again?
You can't get framed if you're not in the picture. So, you know, we know what the media is like. I'm not going to go and say something we know it already. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you can't get framed if you're not in the picture.
I mean, that's kind of a sad state to me, though, a little bit, right? Of like just where society is like they want that shit. But, you know, to me, that's why like when I meet people that are like in the light, I try and keep them close. Yeah. Because I think the overall frequency in the world is like a lot lower frequency. You know what I'm trying to say?
That's what everybody
definitely in America.
Definitely,
America we're talking about. Yeah.
I mean, everything's about intention and understanding and really being honest to yourself about what your intentions are. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, like people can see through that. You know what I mean? If you're not, and it's gonna unravel.
For sure.
You're gonna keep that up for so long. So even when you're dealing with somebody else, you have to really be intentful for what is it to why you want to help this other person. Like, what is it for? Is it for your ego? You know what I'm saying? Or is it not? Like, you just got to be, you know what I'm saying? And vice versa. Like, I think in life, when you're trying to succeed at something, why do you want it? What do you really want it for? Do you want it for your ego? Is it for all the wrong reasons?
That's
is it
real.
for the right reason? You know what I'm saying? What do you chase? Like, you got to have these conversations with yourself. You know what I mean?
Can I flip that to you guys real quick? Because you guys spent so much time making this documentary and it hit so many people, right? So what does it feel like when that big of a dream like comes to have that level of impact? Did you guys like savor, you know, that all that hard work paid off? Did you let yourselves have that for a minute?
It's hard to explain.
It's hard because it's just like I guess I think your ego would be the main thing that be super excited about the stuff that like people might say and the impact you might be making, but we understand the impact that we made is bigger than you know, some fame or some money or anything. So we ride off of that just to say that we're going to continue to do that with other projects like Ernie Barns and mentoring. We mentoring directors and you know, so we just moving that way and we stay humble. You have to stay humble and we know that God. That's why I always say that Jesus direct. It wasn't me. I was pointing the camera, but it was Jesus. It was God.
Showed up.
You know, and
so you can't really relish in it in that much because it's not really you. Like it's
right.
I relish. I'm about to throw my hat right now, man. Because real shit, like I was recognized, like, oh, I like your podcast, right, randomly, and I was like, I swear to God, I had the thought of like, it's not really me. I just feel like a channel for it. You know what I mean?
Doing it was like,
it felt
the
weird.
feeling of taking too much credit. Like we know obviously what we did. There's a lot of hard work, and it's definitely a lot of you know, we've taken a lot of time to really understand our craft, and every decision we make is very intentional as far as like trying to convey a feeling. But there's so much other stuff that happens too. That's like God is art directing these things, or just even like allowing us to even successfully be able to get that story out that large that could have easily been sabotaged. Look at all these albums that get leaked. Like our project was probably the number one person who gets leaked.
In the time we did it, it wouldn't have been done.
So you look at all that.
Think about what's happening. It wasn't.
And we're creators. We create so many other different things too. So like, you know, probably definitely me more than Coodie. I'm the one that he kind of has to be like, man, focus, because like
but it's good though.
I'm already moving on to the next thing. Like midway, we in the edit room, and I'm already like,
the level is.
Gee, what did you think about this shot?
But the level of sacrifice is real though, right? Like I mean, you guys had to you guys were eating oatmeal. I think I heard you guys talk about like that was your steady meal, and then Coodie, you said you couldn't afford like the 5 for your daughter's 5th birthday once, right? That goes on the cake. I mean, so we're talking about some real struggle moments,
right?
You know,
but it's so funny. I mean, not funny. It's just you don't feel that. It's
you don't
like,
feel that. You feel like you're doing something. You feel driven. You feel like you're in the process of something. You feel like. You know, it's almost like you telling somebody, "Don't trust me, just bet on." I'm telling you, you're moving. Like you feel like you in the race and you still running, so you never feel like you on the sideline. Like trying to, you always feel like you're moving forward, even if you Even if you have $0 in your pocket, it's not about money a lot of times. You know what I'm saying?
You're so locked in with that, with God, with everything that's moving through you that you're saying, you know, there's sacrifice, but it don't hit you the same way.
Well, the thing is, everybody else
faith.
outside too has a perspective on what they think your life feels like. So like if to them it seems like, you know, well, I haven't bought something new, and so you perception of me, if you feel like I haven't monetarily made any money, you feel like I'm stagnant. That's just your perception because of the value we put on money. But we fall from stagnant because creatively we're growing every day. Our ideas, we're seeing these small marks that nobody else can see that we're charting up. But it's only the success that we can see within ourselves, because it's a success of happiness. It's a success of like, oh, we accomplished this one thing today that moved this project this much forward, but it's something that the person next to us will never see. So we're that's what's moving us every day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's profound, man. We're such visual people that like it's like we can't appreciate. It's like if somebody got a broken leg and they bump into something, we're like, oh damn, like are you good? You know, but with mental health, we don't see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So like we don't give it that same level of care and respect. So they say all truth passes through 3 phases, and I'm relating this to mental health. They say first, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. And third, it is accepted as self-evident. And I just feel like that speaks to mental health. Like I feel like it's so important.
Yeah, 100%. We have to do a better job at analyzing it at like, I mean, in a culture, there's nobody we could go talk to growing up. There's no like, a psychologist. Like that's just, I'm 44 and that's just becoming a thing. Like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go see, like, but growing up, I mean, you just even couldn't afford them. It just wasn't a thing within our culture. So there's probably so many people that we thought that they're dealing with mental illness that we just never thought would have been dealing with, you know what I'm saying?
That manifests, I feel like, as disease, suicide, right? I mean, all these things by kind of holding it in. Like, I heard Jay-Z say once, like, what, like, if you hold it in, the body will speak. And like he was talking about like disease.
But it's a weird time too, because now it's like becoming this thing. Like it's like mental illness is becoming this thing that's like getting packaged like goji berries at one time. Like it's becoming a whole thing. Berries. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
do you think it's too commercialized right now? Or
I mean, we're in a capitalist society, so anything that becomes like, you know, spoken about becomes a popular topic. We're gonna try to figure out how to like commoditize it. You know what I'm saying? So I do think there's an aspect of it that's happening right now. Yeah. And I just hope that doesn't the oversaturation of that side of it doesn't take away from real people dealing with real issues that need to be acknowledged, you know what I'm saying, and handled with a certain way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they call it like virtue signaling. Have you heard that?
Nah.
Like they got the Pride Month, right? Pride Month. And like so like all these businesses like Enterprise Rental Car have like a rainbow flag on the thing. I'm like, man, that's capitalism, man. They're just trying to ride the wave, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You know? So that's it. But no, man, this has been blessed.
Man. Thanks for having us, man. This was amazing. Yeah.
Man.
God has always been there for me in a sense of anything I've ever wanted in life or dreamt about and really felt strongly about it, he made sure it happened. And it didn't necessarily always happen the very way I envisioned it, but it happened in a way that satisfied me and made me happy, you know. But I feel like I've never had an adversity. I feel like that's made me hit rock bottom. You know what I mean? That's one thing. But I feel like that's a lot of that's because I've had just a strong support system around me from growing up. And I've had like my mother, my grandmother, my aunt, like, you know, my father, like people who just gave me a space to be me. You know what I'm saying? And always championed everything that I was trying to do. And then also on top of that, sacrificed so much of themselves. Like my mother sacrificed so much of her life and the life she could have lived to make sure once she brought me into the world, it was about me and what I was trying to do. And she gave up a huge portion of stuff that she could have done. And you just, when you think about, you know, when you just have to pay respect to that. And I feel like that helps me get over adverse moments because it's like, this person gave up something. They got to be selfless. Like this person gave up a life for you. You can't just not go that extra mile. You can't let this get you down right now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Dude, it's bigger than you. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's for all the people that had their hands on me that didn't have to, that were selfless. Now, in a selfish moment, I have to be selfless. You know what I mean? So,
I heard you say people have their own limited beliefs about you. I think, Chike, you said that at one point. And there's this saying, no one else is supposed to understand your calling. It wasn't a conference call.
Oh, wow.
Have you guys heard that before?
Nah, but that's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just said that because people will put their own limitations on you. They're defined by whatever they've been exposed to, whatever they do in their life, their goals. You never know how far they're trying to go or how they perceive what you perceive. So like you're unique in that, man. You know what I mean? So like if I have a vision that's so profound and somebody else is telling me, oh man, you can't achieve that, based on what? Like they're telling you that because of their shortcomings or how big they're dreaming. If you're not, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you can't let the limitations of how far they can dream knock your dream down, because you have the ability to look a little bit further than they can. And you can't take that on. And you got to believe in yourself only.
Yeah.
Amen.
Like 100%. You can never let somebody, I don't care if, I'll never try to stop somebody from what, even if I don't see it. It's not my responsibility to tell them that they can't do that.
Yeah.
That could be my limitation, something that's blocking me from seeing a vision that they have. You know what I'm saying?
Don't let your imagination get in the way of God's manifestation, bro. That's
it, you know. But you can kill somebody, like Coodie said. Words are powerful. You literally like look at somebody like us that have achieved certain things that somebody else in our field might not have achieved yet, and they tell us something, and we tell them, I don't know about it. You probably not gonna be able to do that. They might that might destroy their whole dream of that. Just because they put so much weight on somebody else who's accomplished their dreams in that same space. So you got to give them room like we had room. You know what I mean?
And I had to close with this, though. When Kanye was running for president, people were like, well, you're right on. You ain't telling them, like, I'm like, when he said he was doing it, all I said was, if you can conceive and believe, you can achieve. You know what I mean? Because like Chike said, you can't just, like, what I'm going to say, you can't do it. I know not to say that with him first. You know what I mean?
He'll really lose it. Like if you say the word "can" around Kanye, he just loses it. I mean, I love.
That's great, right?
I kind of love
great.
that.
And on your point too, real quick, as Dame always say, don't let nobody put their anxieties on you, and that's so real. People just put their anxieties on you. You know, even if you like at the light and. You know, you about to go and people blowing the horn and you're just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you shouldn't do it to others neither, but that's it.
Man, that's a great spot to end right there. That's it, man. Thank you guys for coming. And where can the people find you? Because I'm sure they might want to keep up with you. Are you guys active on social media?
On the gram.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And look out for Ernie Barns. Look out for Ernie Barns is coming. Ernie Barns.
On the gram, you can find me at Kozah, Cozah. You can find both of us at official Coodie and Chike.
On IG?
Yeah.
On
IG.
At Coodie Rock.
Coodie Rock. Okay. Go check these guys out. They're incredible. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you got a lot out of this. I know I got so much. Thank you guys again for blessing us.
Thank you. For sure.
We'll see you soon.